We're here discussing with her today. The other day she was on Roland Martin. She's a constant talking head on Roland Martin's TV One show, News One Now. But we're going to discuss with her briefly the verbal conflict that had arose yesterday, last night. Depending on where you're getting this video, it was yesterday. I didn't mean to say last night. Yesterday morning, her and Dr. Umar Johnson had appeared, and there were certain questions that had arose concerning Dr. Johnson's credentials, his positions on race, his positions on interracial marriage, his school, and the debate seemed to get quite heated once they got on the interracial topic. Dr. Johnson has said for decades, including last week when he was on the Breakfast Club, and he reiterated it yesterday on Roland Martin show, that black men and black women should be with each other. He doesn't believe in interracial relationships whatsoever, and so that seems to be where the discussion had got a little heated. Now, Lorman, okay, now you disagreed with Dr. Johnson's position on that. Now,
yeah.
What's that about?
Well, what it's about is we're a diverse nation. To make a sweeping indictment of any group, I think is not the right thing to do. But I get what he's saying in terms of empathy. Obviously, you got to walk in somebody's shoes to experience what they experienced. It's just that we live in a country with some strange anomalies because we are a diverse country. Unlike some other countries, China, Japan, they just have effectively one group of people walking around. We get these weird anomalies every now and then. We get Eminem or we get Tiger Woods. He's thrown in there. So I don't know that it's a good idea to make sweeping indictments about 193 million people or 43 million people. Same thing that racists do with us all the time, sweeping indictments about all of us. So what I was meaning to say, not easy to say it in the time constraints that we have. I can't make that excuse because I'm used to the time constraints on the show. But what I was trying to say to Umar was, look, how do you know there's not somebody out there in that 193 million that may be the person that empathizes with you? We got some people walking around that...
Well, you had mentioned... Go ahead, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
We got some people walking around that do understand racism quite well, who are not our skin shade. So that's all it was.
You had mentioned Tim Wise and Reverend Waddle.
Yeah, Wallace.
Waddles, I said Waddle. Excuse me, sorry about that. Reverend
Yeah.
Wallace, and I'm familiar, of course, with both. I've actually spoken with Tim Wise on occasion. But just to let you know, people are literally ripping you and Roland right now.
Yeah.
I'm saying all over Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, people going in on you and the Eugene.
Yeah.
The brother that's a Republican. Okay.
Eugene gets it a lot because he's black.
Right, definitely. But people are literally, like, as we speak now, they're just going in on you. Now, concerning, now, it's very surprising, and I hate to sound like I'm stereotyping. I would say that to me, and I'm not at all knocking your position, but it's very surprising that a black woman would take that position, because oftentimes, even though, according to blackdemographics.com, 86% of black men do marry black women, you still have black women complaining that the brothers are not pursuing you, or we're pursuing you for others. So I just thought it was a little ironic. And that's, like I said, I hate the stereotype, but most black women don't take the position that you have. Most black women that I've spoken to will say, well, you know what, Umar, you're right about that. In fact, this event that we're at tonight, I'm not going to mention who, but a sister told me, she said, I agree. She actually disagreed with you, but agreed with Umar.
Right. Well, a lot of people have said, certainly Umar's got a lot of positions that I agree with, in terms of, he's got some very interesting positions in the black church I agree with. The effort for the school for St. Paul's is great. It's an action-based thing. I just think in general, I understand it given our history, 400 years of degradation, 400 years of racism, 400 years of subjugation. We are insecure about certain things, I think, understandably. And I'm not sure it's a good idea to judge what people are thinking in their hearts and minds about each other unless you know somebody. Because skin sometimes is not kin. I can meet somebody like Clarence Thomas, and Tim Wise might be more of a brother than Clarence Thomas. I mean, that's the reality of our situation. We heard it tonight. One of the members said skin ain't kin on another matter. But I get what Umar is saying with regard to, when you are with people in your own group and you've had the same experience, particularly in this country, unbelievably uniquely tragic experience of racism, 400 years of it, and it continues today. And we see what's going on with police brutality, etc. The question becomes, when you marry somebody you want to marry somebody obviously that empathizes with you and what you've experienced. So I get it. It's not like, you know, it's not like a personal thing. I mean, I think a lot of people, you know, we talk about race and relationships and our choices, black women, you know, black women, black men, etc. It gets real sensitive territory real fast. But I think at the end of the day, you know, it's a very personal thing. Who you marry, you know, Umar says it's a political thing. Okay. But I don't know you until I know you. To make these broad brush assumptions about people simply based on skin color, how do you know? How do you know that somebody empathizes with you because of skin color until you know them? Now, I'm not saying that there's a lot of Tim Wises out there. There's not a lot of Tim Wises out there. Tim Wise is almost like a anomaly, you know, but there is a Tim Wise out there, and there is a Clarence Thomas type out there, and the question becomes like, who in that equation would you pick?
Now this is what I have to ask you now concerning Tim Wise and Reverend Wallace, and
Right.
of course, I forgot the woman that Roland interviewed maybe 2 months ago. First time I saw this white woman was on Oprah when I was 15.
Oh,
The
yeah.
blue-eyed,
Yeah,
I remember that.
the older one.
Right,
Yeah,
I remember that. Her name
Yeah.
escapes me right now. But Malcolm X had said something very interesting.
Right.
Okay, after he came back from Mecca,
Right,
he warned black people to beware of white liberals.
right.
Now, do you share some of that? I mean, think about it. What's your thoughts, okay, on that statement? What's your thought on white liberalism? You mentioned the Tim Wises.
Well, I mean, obviously
Do
Tim Wise.
we need them as allies?
Do we need them as allies? You know, I don't know if we need anybody. I mean, we've spent so much time having to fight the battle our own. I mean, we've already proven that we really don't need anybody when we fight a battle because we've fought so many battles alone without any help and gotten really far by ourselves. Do we need them? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, you'd have to give me a specific anecdotal situation in terms of what, you know, what exactly are we talking about? I think for the most part, African Americans have always had to fight their own battles alone, always had to deal with their own problems alone without a whole lot of help from anybody except ourselves. So, you know, that's the way, that's been the way of this history of this country and the way of, unfortunately, our experience here. I just think that at the end of the day, we have so many problems and we have so many situations that come up that us talking on talk shows, being on panels, I think the Breakfast Club is great. Obviously, I love Roland's show. I don't care what any of these people say on Twitter. You know, Roland is it. Roland is the best, okay? You guys can say whatever you want. I think Umar's a big boy. It's not an ambush. Okay, he can take the questions. I mean, he's not an amateur.
So you've obviously been
He's
reading.
all right.
That's the main word we've been hearing on the internet.
Yeah.
Ambush.
I mean, you know,
That's all people because I asked on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
I said, look, I said, Roland is being beat up right now. I said, you know, because of the interview. I said, is it deserved? And all you saw on my Facebook page and on Twitter and his page, ambush.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's an accurate way to put it. I think Umar is, you know, really smart, and you know, he doesn't need anybody. He's not a baby. He can take tough questions. This idea, all this other stuff about his degree or whatever, I don't even think that matters. I don't even care if he had a high school degree. I wouldn't care about that.
I noticed you didn't emphasize that too much.
It doesn't matter. He's obviously a smart guy. He obviously knows the history of the country. He obviously wants to help his people. That's not in question. It doesn't matter. You don't need a PhD for that. It doesn't matter one way or the other. So that to me is irrelevant. But you know, I think that we spend a lot of time. This is not about Umar. Just in general, our public intellectuals spend too much time talking and not doing. And one good thing about Umar is the thing with the school. That's an action-based thing, trying to save St. Paul's. That's great. But a lot of our public intellectuals, they just do their speeches, they do their clicks on their website and YouTube, they do their social media, and then that's it. There's nothing else to it. We don't need another W.E.B. Du Bois or another Frederick. We've got those people. We don't need another one. We need people who actually come up with ideas that fix things like Jeffrey Canada with the Harlem Children's Zone. You know,
yes, I've been there.
Yeah, and then I'm from New York. I've been there, and to me, that's the action piece that's kind of missing. We got enough speakers, we got enough speeches, we got enough panels, we got enough talking, but it is what it is. I mean, if people want to do social media, that's all good, but I think that energy would be better served building some black banks, building some schools, doing what Umar's trying to do with the school thing. That's the stuff that needs to happen. But I mean, what you saw Monday was a little bit of a result of tight time and trying to pick up where the Breakfast Club left off, right off the conversation. So we're kind of, you know, not the best forum for a deep discussion on 400 years of Black history.
And we're not going to keep you long, but what interested me was that, well, actually, no, they're about to throw us out possibly. But what interested me was that, you know, Dr. Johnson has been on Roland's show before.
Yeah.
And Dr. Johnson, you know, he's been saying this for years. He and I first met in 2004. He lived, you know, I lived in Philadelphia, and this is, you know, we were both jump-starting our careers.
Right.
Him as a psychologist, scholar, me as a journalist, some say scholar, et cetera, et cetera. So I've known him for quite some time before he blew up.
Right.
But he's been saying, I'm saying, even after he blew up, everything he's been saying, he keeps saying it. So it was amazing to me that like it was something new. He's been saying this.
Well, it's not only is it not something new from him, it's not something new, it's not new in our conversation in the Black community. It's not new at all. These things are not new at all.
That's what A. Scott Bolden was emphasizing.
Yeah, I mean, we've been having this conversation forever, which is one of the reasons why I say, in general, that we are a very talkative community. I know that it's good to go and see a speech and know that somebody out there understands your problems from a historic, deep level. A guy like Umar, people go to listen to him because he understands the community from a deeper level than some peripheral speech. So people want to go and hear that and have that reaffirmed. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think that we spend too much time in general talking. I mean, I feel that way about myself when I get on the show. I'm like, okay, here we are, another panel, another talk. We go to talks all the time. We go to conferences all the time. CBC Week, NUL, you got Alpha up the street. You know, we all cover the same stuff. NAACP, it's talk. It's talk. Unless that action piece is there, there's nothing. When I really started, I've heard of Umar for years. When I really started paying attention to him, was the school piece, because that's action. You don't see that from a lot of people. It's just sort of talking. I said, wait a minute, this guy is gonna try to build a school. He's raising money for a school. That's real. That's a real action piece that our community needs. The bank, just like he always says, grocery store, bank, hospital. You know, it's. So I mean, it is what it is. It's not personal. I mean, at least for me, it's not personal, but I see for a lot of people it is, but it is what it is.
Well, listen, Lauren, listen up. We thank you for joining us, but just to let you know, she clarified her position. You know, Lauren Burke here, she clarified because a lot of y'all were going off on her. Okay, but you know, don't worry, nobody was calling you out of your name. I mean, they were. I mean, you heard the coon, but no one was saying anything that would be. The B word didn't come up, if you will, or bedwin. You weren't called that, but we're going to have
look, it's a free country. I'm a journalist. You know, people have the right to say whatever they want. Yes, I mean, that's what the First Amendment's about. I didn't get into this game because I thought I would never be criticized. So it's all right.
Well, listen to me, and I've been there. Okay, briefly, before we go off the air, let people know where they can find you.
They can find me. I write for The Root. I write for NBC Black. I write for Politics 365. And as I think a lot of people know, I'm on Twitter at LV Burke, LVBURKE.
That might have been a mistake, but the Twitter thing. Okay, anyway, family, we're here with Lauren Burke. We thank you very much for joining us. I'm Dashawn Farad. Don't forget to subscribe to yourblackworld.net. And by the way, we did this broadcast tonight in Washington, D.C. See you next time.